Hello friends, welcome back. I'm just here doing a special reading. I don't know, I just woke up this morning and have been just, I've been sitting with spirit and for hours. So I just want to do a reading. So let's get her in. Gonna just go ahead and bless the space, cleanse the space, open the space, open the reading. Thank you. I've been missing out on doing, it's one of those things when after you've done like a really big effort, and of course my effort has been training for a mountain climb and all that stuff, but after you've done something big, it's kind of recommended to just come back to self. And I think that's what I've really been spending time doing, is just coming back into self. So if anyone needs to hear that message, just understand and know, and maybe even start to incorporate in your own life. When you do something big, when you prepared and you've reached a certain point and you've done the thing, it's really good after that thing, after that big expression, after that big effort that you've put forth into something, to contract. Come back into self, call back your power, come back into center, take a rest. Okay, so first of all, I want to go ahead and, okay, let's put out the Wild Unknown archetype deck and see what messages Spirit has for us today. Oops. Okay. I call on my ascended masters and teachers. Starborn, Castle, the Kiss, the Mirror, the Destroyer. Yeah, okay, that's for me. I call on my ascended masters and teachers to come into this reading with a message for the collective energy, Spirit. Ooh, wow, thank you. All right, so we've got Kairos, which I believe is time, and the Shaman actually came out second. So what I'm sensing with this reading, even just in the beginning, is that there is now a coming together. There is it's interesting. There's an apex, right? But I've also heard there's the apex, I believe it's called, there's an apex in time, right? A time where two paths meet. And it's interesting because all sorts of things are coming up when I think of apex, and I think of this moment in time, and I think of this moment in time and how every other thing around, like at the same moment in time, everything exists, right? This is the apex. And so many things are coming up for me and thinking about Kairos, thinking about time. I'm listening or watching some sort of recounting or recalling by Toni Morrison, the writer, and she was saying something about how she made a point, something that was a nadir to her, right? something that had been a nadir to her, or like a stuck moment, or a moment where she felt at her lowest, right? She had made it into a book or into a story. And at the time, I was in also very like a low energy point. And especially it was right after the big push, you know, when you do some big adventuring or some sort of big push, and you've done all that you can to meet where you do what you can, right? There is this moment of reflection. And there is a lot of the times a looking back on the past, making some sort of, okay, this is what happened, this is what I did. But there was part of it too where I was like, I had, you know, I had expectations. Actually, no. I'll dial that back, bring it back. I did not have expectations, but I had expectations that others would have expectations that they would put on me, right? So, it's one of those points where you're just like, am I being, you know, Toni Morrison talking about how she turned her lowest moment into a story, and then, you know, a nadir is basically the lowest point. You know, it's basically a low point. But I found it interesting because I was like, nadir, I've never heard it used in that context before. And so I looked up the definition, and the definition is actually, you know, it's the point just below someone's, you know, just below the point of an object or earth, right? Just below someone's feet. And I was just like, interesting, you know, it's an idea of being, because you got your nadir, right? I'm trying to see if I can use an object to kind of demonstrate. So I'm going to use my agra. So nadir, right? And I'm doing it this way so you all can see. So nadir would be the point here, right? The point just below the agra's base. And the zenith would be the point above agra's head. And I looked at it as Toni Morrison was describing her nadir, her lowest point, right? Her nadir. And sharing and expressing the story of being in her lowest point. And again, it's just like, wow, you know, it's interesting to look at this whole person, right? Just still using agra as an example, to look at this whole person and think that this whole person standing on top of this lowest point is thinking at this level, right? Is thinking at this low point level. And it's just like, you are the object, you are the thing, right, between the nadir and the zenith. You are all of those points. You are everything between your lowest point and your highest point, your zenith, your nadir and your zenith. So you are always encompassing and embracing both of those energies. Your nadir, though it may be called your lowest moment, is actually the point. And the other part too that I understood this to be. So I'll use my moon as an example. I'll use the moon as an example. My lamp, right? So this is agra on top of the moon, right? Her nadir is the point on the bottom of her feet, right? At her base, her zenith is here. Even it's like you're on top of the world, and your nadir, you're focusing on your nadir. You're on top of, it's like, and there's that feeling of having all the feelings at once, right? You're on top of the world. You're on top of your finances. You're on top of your home life. You're on top of, you're on top of your friendships. You're literally, like, even myself, after I was contemplating being at the highest point I'd ever been in my life on this mountain, Tahoma, there was still a feeling, you're concentrating on being at your lowest point, but you're not. You're actually on top of the world, regardless of what your low point is and what your high point is. And that's what came up for me as I see and look at this Kairos card, this time card. And I'll read the meaning. I know I just organized this entire thing, so I know it's here. I might not even get into tarot today. This might just be it, the oracle message, Kairos. Kairos. And this is not the first time that I've gotten this card in a reading. Mythic time, synchronicity. We have all had the experience of timelessness, of life beyond the ticking of the clock. It may be felt as time standing still, slow motion, or losing track of time on a walk or in a lovely conversation. This is known as mythic time, and it is the territory of Kairos. This card suggests there is a secondary time continuum that goes beyond any earthly clocks and schedules. Within this nonlinear realm, we access divine timing. A single moment ripens with auspiciousness, and our actions change the trajectory of our whole life. Time becomes a living thing that watches over us and tells us precisely when to speak or act. When this card appears, it's all about patience and precision. No clock can guide you. Wait for the rush of inner knowing and not a moment longer. When it is in light, you are in alignment. And I'm going to flick. When it is in light, you are in alignment, right? Your nadir is only the beginning. Your nadir really is only the middle of the story. You still have a zenith here, and you're still on top of the world. You're still on top of things, right? So when it's light, you are in alignment. And that's the other thing too. I don't know if I believe that anyone is ever out of alignment. I don't know if I believe that. I don't think anyone is ever really out of alignment. I think it's all about what is seen. And I like that Agra shows up here with one eye closed, because there are some things that we need to not see, not acknowledge, not look at. Some things we need to keep for ourselves, which is also a message of this season, this Libra season. I don't believe we're ever out of alignment, but I do believe that we can think that we're out of alignment, that we can be convinced that we're out of alignment. But in this, again, the mythic, I want to say mythic reality, but that sounds like an oxymoron. But in the mythic time, we are never out of alignment. And not only that, I like how I just did this, right? Because this whole thing is aligning to my statue of Inanna, my statue of Lilith. There's always alignment. And even when we think we're out of alignment, we are acting in alignment. And I love the energy, and it's so weird because a lot of times people talk, I hear people talking about the divine feminine as, stillness, and there is stillness, right? But there's also chaos in the stillness. There is a sense of chaos in the stillness. And I just, that's a whole nother exploration for me, is the masculine is always, to me, is always seen as the stillness, whereas the feminine is the chaos. I've never understood why that comes up for me like that. But in texts and things like that, I never get that kind of confirmation. So I'm still looking at that for myself. But again, I'm not out of alignment for looking at that. I'm always in alignment. Okay, so when this particular Kairos energy is in its dark, you are simply fighting against time. That's it. Fighting against time. And I see so many people doing that too, fighting against time. There's an interesting thing that I see with a lot of people, really. It's like even I love play. I love being with my friends. I love laughing. But I love having an integrated inner child that can also be my higher self, right? An integrated inner child that can commingle with the adult responsibilities that I have. And I can still be, very authentic and honest and have boundaries and be open with people about this, about what I believe, and not leave like any kind of misunderstanding about it. It is, I will say, it is hard sometimes to broach a conversation with spirituality with a lot of people, but because I don't want to offend their senses, but I do get into those spaces with some people, and it's just a glorious space for me. So, to go deeper, Felix Gonzalez Torres, Untitled Perfect Lovers. I'm not sure if that's a painting or an artwork or a poem, but I will see if I can link it in the description of this reading. So, other things. The word evil comes from the root unripe. Consider that everything has a time of ripeness, when it becomes a nourishing fruit, sweet to the lips. Interesting. Compare the Greek words chronos and kairos. This will guide you to an understanding of logos and mythos. And it's so interesting because I feel, even now highlighting that and going back to my thought about the divine masculine and the divine feminine and the difference between the two, for me, the divine masculine or the masculine energy is chronos. It's I don't quite think it's linear. I actually think it's higher. It goes like from top to bottom, but it's top to bottom and left to right, right? Top to bottom, linear, like it has boop, 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 right? But with kairos, you can move to any parts of that line, and you're still not out of alignment. This is something I'm wrapping my head around now that it's come up for me. But let's go further into the reading, because now we have the Shaman card that has come out. So for me, now that we've gone into the subject of kairos and that masculine energy and feminine energy, there is absolutely no way to be out of alignment. There's absolutely no way to be out of alignment. When you're a shaman, you have embraced the energies of nature around you. You've embraced the energies. You understand that there is no difference between you and, this salt lamp. There's no difference between you or this statue. There's no difference between you and a crystal. There's all just an energetic connection. Everything has a spirit to it, and everything is, you can connect to anything. You can create with anything. You can co-create with anything. And so there's this idea that the shaman allows us to understand that we can travel to any point in Kairos, using Kairos energy, using mythic time. We can move around in different spaces. It's almost this sense of, I don't know to call it teleportation, because I don't want to capture that word in that way. It is an change in perspective that allows us to see all the different points on this universal journey that we have. And you can see here with the shaman, there's stars, there's diamonds, there's skulls, there's a snake, there's a pearl here, there's the ability to move in this manner, to move throughout the universe without leaving the spot that you're in. And so there is this recognition that we have an entire inner world that allows us to heal ourselves, bring healing to the world, heal others, and just be who we are and where we are, without focusing on, I'm at my lowest point, or I want to get to this higher point, or I want to get beyond, or this person is holding me back. Nothing is in your way except you. Nothing is in your way except you. And I say that to myself as well as saying it to every one of you. Nothing is standing in the way. And I'm, it's not one of those things of it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault perspective. Allowing, understanding, getting in touch with the vibe of your flow, getting in touch with the vibe of your energies. There's no one standing in your way. No one's blocking you. You are on top of the world. If you think you are, you can, in Kairos time, be on a completely different planet, be in a completely different galaxy. You can be in a tree right outside your building, or in a lake on the other side of the world on Kairos time, on that mythical time, right? You could travel. You can do whatever you want to do on any level of existence, on any plane of existence. And that's when originally when I got that first term apex, that's when I understood this is a confluence point. There is something happening in the atmosphere, in the universe, in the times, in the spiritual worlds. There is a meeting point happening. And there is nothing, it's almost like this, this is something that we've been waiting for. We've been waiting for this to happen for so long. We've been waiting for this joining together, this coming together. We've been waiting for this for so long. And here it is today. There's no longer a, traveling parallel to another plane of existence and, never interacting, never touching, never anything like that. There is now a meeting, crossing, even a crossing over or crossing into, or a blending, a moving into. Something is happening here. Something is allowing us to travel in mythic time and to heal ourselves. It's available. So, I hope this was a helpful message to you. I'm not going to read the shaman card because I believe it is just a message of healing through the idea of mythic time, through the idea of vision journeys, through the idea of your dreams, through healing through your dreams, right? Okay, let me break it down in the list. Through the healing through your dreams, healing through visions, healing through shamanic journeying, which is basically visual guided meditations, healing by allowing yourself to travel in mythic time. Okay, so that is the reading that I wanted to offer you today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you are able to journey with yourself, rest, receive, and then stand up and go about your life in this universe, in this space that we hold. Okay? Thank you so much. I'm closing this reading out. Namaste.